Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we talk about health and safety in the workplace. But trust me on this one, folks, this stuff is important. If you're responsible for managing safety, it's crucial to understand the different types of hazards you might encounter so you can develop a plan to mitigate them effectively. We're talking about protecting the people you work with, your friends, your team. That's some real-life superhero stuff right there. So today, we're breaking down the 6 main categories of workplace hazards, what they are and why they matter. Let's dive in. First up, we've got biological hazards. Now, when I say biological, think tiny but mighty. We're talking viruses, bacteria, those pesky insects that always seem to find their way into the office, even mold and dust. Don't underestimate these guys, they can pack a punch. We're talking about things you can't always see with the naked eye, but they can cause a range of health issues, from mild irritations to, in some serious cases, even diseases. So, how do we fight back against these microscopic villains? Well, personal protective equipment, or PPE as the cool kids call it, is your best friend. Gloves, masks, you know the drill. And of course, good old-fashioned hygiene is key. Wash your hands, keep your workspace clean, and let's show those germs who's boss. Next up, let's talk about chemical hazards. Now, we're not talking about your kid's chemistry set here, although I have to admit those were pretty cool. No, we're talking about the more serious stuff, hazardous substances that can cause some real harm to your health or create downright dangerous situations. We're talking skin irritation, respiratory issues, and in some extreme cases, even explosions or blindness. Think about the cleaning chemicals under your sink, solvents used in manufacturing, or gases that might be present in certain industries. These are all potentially hazardous if not handled properly. The good news is, most of these hazards can be managed with some common sense precautions. First and foremost, make sure every chemical is clearly labeled. And speaking of storage, let's make sure those chemicals are stored properly. Training. Make sure everyone who handles these chemicals knows the proper procedures, the risks involved, and what to do in case of an emergency. Alright, let's talk about physical hazards. Now, these are the hazards we encounter every day, the ones that might seem small, but can quickly turn into a big problem. Think of it like this. Remember that time you tripped over your shoelaces and almost took a tumble? Yeah, that's a physical hazard in action. We're talking about things like exposed wires that should be taped down, damaged carpets just waiting for someone to snag their foot, or tools and equipment that haven't been given a good once-over in a while. These might seem like minor inconveniences, but trust me, they can lead to some major ouchies. Trips, falls, equipment-related injuries, you name it, physical hazards can cause it all. The key to tackling these hazards is simple. Be proactive. Regular maintenance and inspections are your new best friends. If you see something, say something. Don't be afraid to point out a potential hazard to your supervisor or safety manager. Alright, let's talk about environmental hazards, those sneaky culprits that can cause harm without even touching you directly. We're talking about things like extreme temperatures that can leave you feeling like you're on another planet, ear-splitting noise that makes you want to reach for the earplugs, and lighting so bad it could make even a vampire squint. And let's not forget about radiation and pressure changes, those silent threats that can have long-term health consequences. But don't worry folks, we're not talking about nuclear meltdowns here. We're talking about everyday hazards that can be easily addressed with a little bit of awareness and action. For instance, prolonged exposure to loud noises, like the kind you might experience in a factory or construction site, can damage your hearing. So make sure you're wearing proper hearing protection, folks. Poor lighting can lead to eye strain, headaches, and even accidents. Remember, a little bit of prevention goes a long way. Alright, let's talk about ergonomic hazards. Now, this one might sound a little fancy, but it's really quite simple. Ergonomics is all about designing your work environment to fit you, the worker, rather than the other way around. Think of it like this. You wouldn't try to cram your feet into a pair of shoes that are 2 sizes too small, right? So why should you have to work in a space that's not designed for your body? Ergonomic hazards pop up when we've got poorly designed workspaces or we're stuck doing the same repetitive physical activities day in and day out. And let me tell you, those hazards can lead to some serious aches, pains, and even long-term injuries. We're talking about things like carpal tunnel syndrome from all that typing, back pain from slouching in your chair, and neck strain from staring at a computer screen all day. But the good news is, Preventing these ergonomic hazards is often as simple as making a few adjustments to your workspace. Invest in a good ergonomic chair that provides proper back support. Make sure your keyboard and mouse are positioned correctly to avoid strain on your wrists, and take frequent breaks to stretch and move around. And last but certainly not least, let's talk about psychosocial hazards. Now, these hazards might not leave a visible scar, but trust me, they can be just as harmful as any physical injury. We're talking about the stuff that affects our mental health and well-being, the invisible stressors that can creep up on us when we least expect it. Think about it. Workplace stress, bullying, harassment, even violence. These are all serious issues that can have a devastating impact on our mental and emotional health. And the worst part is, these hazards are often ignored or swept under the rug. But we're not going to do that here. We're going to talk about it because mental health matters, folks. So, what can we do to combat these psychosocial hazards? Well, it starts with creating a workplace culture of respect and open communication. Let's make sure everyone feels valued, respected, and supported. That's it for the 6 categories of workplace hazards. Remember, by identifying these hazards and taking steps to mitigate them, you can create a safer and healthier workplace for everyone. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Share this with your friends, family, and coworkers. It might just make a difference. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe.